Hi everyone, Mark Cabot is here for a product focus video, and today's product focus is on the tale of the drowsy shepherd. And with me today in our product focus, Jill and Michael Gallina, the creators of this musical, and our children's music editor for Jubilate Music Group, Susan Earnest. Welcome everyone.
Hello, great to be here.
Wonderful to be here. Good to see you guys.
Absolutely. Listen, what a fun time. It's great to be here with everyone. And, Jill and Michael, I have to start with you. You guys are coming from New Jersey and Susan from Georgia, me from Nashville. So we're all over the place here today in this gathering. But, Jill and Michael, you and I go way back. And in preparation for this, I went and watched the video we did when we were in New York City together for Mr. Pfister's Christmas Time Travelers. And I said at the beginning of that one, and I say it again, you guys are so prolific. I called you in that video. I'll call you again in this one, the Rodgers and Hammerstein of elementary musicals. You're so prolific. You've done this for decades. How many children's musicals approximately have you guys written over the years?
Approximately 60, believe it or not, but they're not all full-length musicals. For the upper grades, yes, it went 45 or 50 minutes, but we also wrote a number of musicals for the lower grades, which is in the 15 and 20-minute range. So that's why we made the 60.
Exactly.
It's really a compliment to be compared to Rodgers and Hammerstein, but it's been a great enterprise for us to be able to do this. It's exciting, and we just love it. It's wonderful.
Well, it shows, Jill and Michael, because you guys, what you've crafted all of these many, many years are best-selling, clever, creative, heartfelt, and amazing amount and the quality that you do. And so the tale of the drowsy shepherd, obviously, we're here to talk about today. And I'll say to our viewers, too, this musical was released several years ago, but now it's available for the first time in a little while. But the new thing with the musical is not only is it now available again, and it's a best-selling musical, it's available digitally for the first time in addition to physical product. So you can order physical product or you can order it digitally. And Susan has created and is creating new downloadable materials for the musical. And we'll talk about those in just a little bit. So there are a lot of new things to talk about, the tale of the drowsy shepherd. Jill and Michael, what did you enjoy most about creating this work?
Well, first of all, I have to give credit where credit is due. Master Mark over there came up with the idea for us. And he is so creative. It's so easy to write something when he gives you the beginning, the middle, and the end. Then you just have to run with it. And the story itself, I thought, was so clever that he came up with it, not taking any credit for that. But it just kind of lent itself to so much. First of all, it's a new way to look at the story, of the birth of Christ. But there was so many opportunities to add humor and puns and double entendres into the story itself. We love writing things where maybe the children don't get, but the parents get it. And they're all funny, and working with lambs and sheep and what have you. And Mark did give us a lot of the characters, and it was just such a fun musical to write in such a different way.
Yeah, it's also a time of year. We all look at Christmas and the story of our Savior's birth. It never gets boring. It always brings enlightenment to us. And it was a great deal of fun to have another opportunity to highlight this special time in all of our lives.
Yeah, and it was so interesting when we were writing this, because I kept getting messages. Like, I'd be driving in the car in the midst of creative process, and I'd pass Shepherd Lane. I told Mark about this when we were writing it, and then I would be, driving another place, and then there was a person in front of me with a license plate that said Angels on it. And it was just, I think it's a message that we definitely are going to write this musical. It was truly one of the most fun experiences of our lives, and just working with Mark is always that way, though. He's so inspirational, and he gives you so much encouragement. And like I said, giving us the format, we just basically had to put it all together and write this music, which was always challenging, but so much fun. So much fun. We loved doing it.
That is a beautiful story, you guys. And you guys listen to our viewers again. They're very generous in what they say I did. Listen, I gave them just a very bare bones skeleton concept. They're the ones who really took it and ran with it and did amazing, truly amazing things with this. It's the delightful musical. Jill and Michael, give us the rundown of the plot.
Do you want me to start, or do you want to start?
Well, I'll give an overview, and then Jill can give you a lot of the details. But here we have a young man around the time of our Savior's birth, and he really hasn't found himself. He's looking for himself. He has a job. He falls asleep on the job. So he's really looking for something. And that's what we see until the very end of the play, that he has really found himself. So that's just an overview.
And speaking a little more specifically, the person, the lead character, Aaron, is a shepherd. And as we all know, when we're told to count sheep to fall asleep, well, Aaron's problem is he literally falls asleep as he's counting the sheep. And the sheep don't mind this at all. As a matter of fact, that was one of the songs that lent itself a lot to humor, because the sheep sing this little song called "There's No Business Like Sheep Business." They're very happy because he's sleeping and they're wandering and running off over the hill. But the problem is that Aaron's getting into a lot of trouble with Reuben and Rachel, who are the people who are sort of the head of the Shem sheep shop. And they're very worried because he keeps falling asleep on the job. The sheep are wandering off. And Ewing, who is the head of the sheep shop, is coming for an inspection. And she's going to be very angry when she finds the sheep are missing. And the story basically evolves into this tale where Aaron keeps falling asleep on the job. Angels appear, and he's sleeping when they appear, and they tell about the birth of Christ that's coming. And Reuben and Rachel are off to see the birth of Christ, and they tell Aaron he has to watch the sheep, and it's his last chance because Ewing's on her way. Well, anyway, not to give away the whole plot, Ewing does wind up coming and actually becomes very impressed with Aaron, because Aaron has a dream. He's just not fulfilled. His dream is he dreams of greener pastures with houses on them. I don't want to give away the end of the story, but Ewing makes Aaron's dream come true as they go to the manger together. And they realize, can I read just a little ending, which I think is the essence of the entire play, which is said at the end of the play. God is with us, as you can well see, and now we're all free to be what he wants us to be. What a beautiful end to our wonderful story. With Christ, all things are possible, and to him be the glory. And I think that really tells it all. It's basically when we believe, when we have faith, we can do anything through Christ's light and love. So basically that's, in essence, a little bit of a longer version without giving away too much of the story.
That's incredible, you guys. Thank you. So well said, as always. It's such a beautiful, creative package that we're offering here through this musical. Susan, talk about, from your vantage point, you're a practitioner for many years as well, and as a director and a curriculum writer, and talk about the musical with its teaching points, and maybe also why should directors consider doing this musical and spending the time and effort on it?
Well, there's some excellent teaching points from both the spiritual perspective and also the musical standpoint. One of the musical things I love about this is that it features some familiar carols, and they're packaged in a format where there's harmony with a partner song. So you take a traditional Silent Night, but then added with it is a beautiful partner song that they meld together. And for those of us out there that have worked with kids, know that singing harmony is so much easier in the format of a partner song. And it makes a simple song sound so much more filled out and complex. And it's just a remarkable thing. So there's two of those with two different carols. There's also a third carol, O Come, Emmanuel, is plugged into the musical. And I just love that. So we have a little chance for some learning maybe about carols and some hymnology, if you wanted to toss that in there. Also, the unison. There's the melodies that are the unison. You could do this musical and not do the harmony, and it would be beautiful. And as we know, since the pandemic, one of the things we're trying to work on is getting children to sing with beautiful unison sound, because we lost that when we were all apart. So there's opportunity for that. I love the melodic. There's opportunities for teaching children to sing in their head voice. So many times, they want to dwell in the chest, and it's not. But here we get this beautiful childlike sound that is only for a brief window of time, that they have that sound, and we get to hear that in this musical. Of course, from the spiritual aspect, we've got a different way to celebrate Jesus' birth. How many ways can we do that? This is a different look at how to celebrate Jesus' birth. And within that, celebrating the birth, this young man, Aaron, not only is he trying to find himself, but he is looking forward to meeting Messiah, because that was a big part, of this message. And I think that's another thing that maybe children need to hear in a fresh way. They get to think about, what is God's plan? Especially upper elementary, we're starting to get into this. What is it that God has for me to do in this world, in the many ways? And then also the scriptural truths that just pop out of this musical. One in particular, all things are possible. That particular song, there's probably 5 verses in the Bible that speak to that very thing. So a lot of teaching, good teaching, is possible for this. And why use it? Well, for the church setting, it's 30 minutes long. It's easily put into the midst of a worship service, if that's what need be, or a standalone. It's also a small cast, so you can do it with as few as 8. Okay. On the other hand, you could also do it with, tons and tons, or as Jill says, with the masses, where you have to have an array of children. I was even thinking, Mark and I talked about with younger children, they might not can do all of the musical, but they can sure be the sheep. And how adorable would that be, with the sheep costumes and so forth. And I think I said everything else. Oh, the humor that Jill and Mike pointed out, that right now, one of the most popular types of humor is dad jokes. And honestly, this fills that that interest. My husband was actually walking through and I was listening to it, and he was cracking up because he loves that kind of humor. So the audiences will really enjoy the humor of that. We also talked about maybe 30 minutes isn't long enough, and maybe we can offer a couple ideas for extending it if you need a more filled out, a longer version of the musical.
Absolutely. That's great, Susan. And what about some of the downloadables, like some teaching tips and kickoff activities and stuff like that as well, we're going to have and are downloadable?
Yeah, well, one of the things that came out of our conversations was that maybe some ideas for extending the musical. That would be a download. We wouldn't charge
as an
extra.
option.
Right, just optional. Another thing that we'd like to do, I'd like to do, is offer you some ideas for how to kick off the musical. And a lot of times maybe you have a pre-musical sign-up night with a party or whatever, or maybe you just go full at it the first night of choir. But they don't know anything the first night that you work on the musical. So what are some things you can do that night to build the interest and kick off that momentum, and some ideas for some decor and so forth, maybe, and also some ideas for maintaining the momentum throughout the musical. Whereas they're not just thinking, I'm coming to work hard. We want them to enjoy it and gain every week something they can take away. I think we're going to offer some ideas for scripture memory, with some devotional thoughts for the different weeks of the rehearsals leading up to it. Did I leave anything out, Mark?
No, that's great, Susan. That's exactly right. And everyone, all of these free downloadables are at jubilatemusic.com and on the product page for Tale of the Drowsy Shepherd. And so just go there and you'll have all of these wonderful downloadables to enhance your presentation of this wonderful musical. You guys, listen, this has been a great time today talking about this wonderful musical, and we're so excited about it, and that children's choirs are starting to get stronger again and coming back all the more. And so we're excited to offer this kind of material for them to enhance. And I will say one final thing, if a church, if you're not doing children's musicals, You need to, obviously, because nothing brings, Susan can certainly attest to this, nothing puts people in the pews more than children singing. And
Absolutely.
especially around
So
Christmas.
true.
And you can just see the video, the phones going up right now as they're, recording their child singing in these musicals. And I'll say one more pitch about musicals. Most children, if not all children, they might not remember an anthem. And of course, anthems are certainly our bread and butter for adult choirs and children's choirs too, don't get me wrong. But at the same token, musicals are an event. And I think kids, when they're 26 and 30, they remember.
Absolutely.
And Jill and Michael certainly know this too, because
Absolutely.
you've had kids email you, I'm sure, when they're 30,
Absolutely.
I'll never forget when I was in your musical, fill in the blank. Because we ourselves were in these musicals when we were children, and we can remember the title of them and a lot of the lines we had or the songs we sang. And so those are transformative experiences. Again, you children's directors who are watching this, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but again, it's just a great reminder that these musicals are worth the effort, because they can be, and I think many times are, transformative experiences for the children in them. And you add the curriculum activities, the scriptural memorization, all of those things. These are life-changing, potentially, activities, so they are so worth it. So thank you, those of you who are watching, for the work you're doing in creating these musicals and bringing them about to these young lives. Jill and Michael and Susan, listen, what a fantastic time we've had today. Thank you so much. And Jill and Michael, thank you for everything you do on my and Susan's behalf. We thank you for contributing to our catalog. And listen, you guys, I will say to our viewers as well, Jill and Michael are as enthusiastic now as they were 30, 40 years ago, just tons of ideas, unlimited fount of creativity, and every bit as enthusiastic now as they've ever been, if not more so. So you guys, thank you for what you do, very, very much so.
Well, thank you so much. And it's been a pleasure. We love working with you, and we look forward to working with Susan. You're so creative, and it's going to be a pleasure getting to know you better and working along with you. So wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you, you guys. And thank you for watching this Eweing Music Group product focus video.